Hello, and welcome to This Week in Quality, also known as This Week in Therapy. I think I saw This Week in Late Stage Capitalism. we are we are feeling all the feelings, and we're going through all the levels today. But my name is Judy Mosley. This is this is ministry in wow, I'm like, all my words are freaking out. Just let's start again. I am Judy Mosley, and I am here with Simon Tome. Simon, how are you doing today?
I'm all right, thanks, Judy. Thank you for asking. Bit of low energy this morning. Things are a bit busy, but I'm here and I'm ready for it. So I always find this week in quality, the opportunity to gather is a way of like lifting up energy levels. Um, Although typically by the end of it, I'm usually buzzing, but also like, whew. So let's see what happens. Um,
Yeah.
but it's probably also to do with the heat in the UK and the lack of air conditioning that we have in our buildings.
Mhm.
Still pretty hot. I saw on the Slack a few of us were UK based that were wanting to do the rain dance and excited that a bit of rain is forecasted for next week, but we shall see.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's great to be co-hosting with you today, Judy. How are things with you? How's your week in quality been?
Yes. So my week in quality has been lovely. As many of you know, I started my new position about, I guess this is my third full week. Um, yeah. So it's been a wild month, really. I mean, definitely wild 6 months, but for sure, deciding to leave the job that I was uh, at just fully willing to dedicate myself to the job search while also thinking, um, how long is this going to take? Uh, will I leave tech entirely? It was a roller coaster of thoughts. Um, but I have, yeah, I've been working now for 3 weeks, and it's a really good company, and I can go more into that later. But I would, if anyone wants to join the stage, I would love to hear anyone's perspective on stepping into a company when there are quality processes that already existed. Like for the last 3 opportunities I've had, I've built quality from the ground up, so I'm very used to that, starting from scratch, assessing the systems, finding out what we need. And here, a lot of that is in place. There's test cases, there's automation,
Mm,
and the person that left was so beloved by the company and the team. So they decided to actually pivot out of quality entirely.
mm,
So
right.
so that was interesting. But yeah, I'm stepping into someone else's world that they created and figuring out where quality goes now. So that is a new experience for me. It's very exciting.
Mm, that's very exciting. I can imagine that thought about finding your next opportunity and considering leaving tech. Like
Hmm.
that's big decision, right? And a scary and daunting one.
Hmm.
I'm kind of grateful that you haven't left the world of tech because
Yeah.
like you contribute so much. You contribute so much to the industry and what we will do as technology professionals. So I'm really glad it worked out. And yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? Stepping into someone's world that they've created that's
Hmm.
quality focused already, kind of that challenge of respecting what is as is right now. Yet if there's things coming to you, and I guess this goes to anyone joining a new organization, like, oh, there's an opportunity here, or oh, that's really cool. How can we amplify that some more? Or like, there's all this cool stuff that we could do here. Like all those different thoughts about the context, the domain, getting up to speed with the domain itself as
Mhm.
well, learning
Mhm.
all the systems. sussing out the sort of politics that can go on within organizations, what's like the formal communication channels, the informal.
Mhm.
Um, I think of like, what's above the iceberg that's explicit, but what's below that iceberg, which is implied or
Mhm.
kind of hinted at or is common knowledge, even though for a new person it's not common knowledge.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, right? The whole information piece. When any person joins the team, that kind of, for me, that team is immutable. Like they become a new team
Mhm.
completely, even though they've got their history and their past in that configuration, but they are a new team when a new person joins. And I think I find that concept curious as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, lots of thoughts.
Yeah. So I think that you had, because we were chatting earlier, you had mentioned that you had seen some moments. Because while I've been busy,
Yeah.
finding my ground, I think you are closer to the motiverse and what's happening, and yeah, and would love to know what moments you've seen.
Yeah, let's do it. So I think I'm just trying to think. That was it. Yeah, Cassandra's one about laziness, impatience, and minding the gap was a really cool one. I'll post a link to it so people can read along for those joining along live. It was like a short, sharp moment, a really powerful thought from Cassandra. Cassandra asks herself, am I more lazy, impatient, or cautious of gaps as they are waiting for a Claude code to complete a series of tasks? Um, Cassandra making the point that the decision of when and what to use AI for is always with the user, and it always helps to stay sharp and not hand off all the responsibility. After all, everyone makes mistakes. I kind of
Mhm.
like that everyone makes mistakes. Humans plus technology, whatever entity it is, we're going to make mistakes. Um, so I thought that was really cool from Cassandra. It's uh, good to see their writing again.
Mhm. And just to think about that, like, that's a disclaimer on, I think, all of the AI models that I've seen is like, "Oh, we can make mistakes." Um, and
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
like, can I wear the same
I was just thinking exactly the same thing. It's just like during this episode of TWIQ, we should have a little thing that says for both of us, like, we're going to make mistakes during this episode.
please verify?
Yeah, please verify what we say. TWIQ co hosts can make mistakes.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, like, that's, like,
That's funny.
where it's
Mm.
it's it's already they're creating a culture. It's not bad. I'm just considering, like, a having a culture of, like, AI making mistakes, okay, and humans are gonna make mistakes too, so it's like, how do we learn from all of it? Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I'm definitely gonna have to go back and read Cassandra's moment that she made. That sounds so good.
Yeah. Yes. I like Cassandra's writing. She's got a really good style. So it's nice to see people making good use of the ability to blog post on a moment, as a moment that goes on people's new profile page. We really amplify moments now on the profile page. So that's all changed to make it more kind of more like a blog, really, make it
Mhm.
familiar. So that's cool. I
Mhm.
also saw there was, I was going to browse back on my browser. Yeah, it was nice to see Rahul. He's been doing some good stuff with Wonder Proxy, so one of our partners.
Mm.
But just him giving a shout out, like you can do that as a moment. Like, why not?
Mhm.
Just put it out there, share your gratitude. We're all interconnected as far as tooling goes and products and services that we use, and it's like if we get a little bit closer to them, we can influence their roadmap, we can share feedback, we can understand their product a bit more, we can probably get better access to customer service with these tool providers and stuff like that. So, it really shows Rahul just sharing his appreciation. And I think it's a kind of a good message for the rest of the community. Like, don't be shy to talk about tooling and services as a moment, just go for it, right? Here's what I learned. Here's something I would like to see. Um, because these partners and tool providers, they want to hang out and are hanging out on the Motiverse, and they're like, oh, how can we get more involved? How can we learn from what the community is talking about? How can we spot all the trends and the hot topics?
Mhm.
So that was cool. Again, I know I'm talking about it without sharing it, but I will share it in the chat so people have some context. And I realized I haven't hit the thank button or the red button, so I've just done that now.
Oh.
Just done that now. I missed one. Can't believe
We
it.
we need the confetti like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. If it appears on here. But as we our disclaimer earlier on that we make mistakes, and my mistake was not to press it earlier. So, I got the disclaimer so we can get away with it, right?
Exactly. Ah.
um, the other thing, and this is what I've been trying to do. I got a concept called thoughts before MotoCon.
Hmm.
So, for our listeners who aren't familiar, MotoCon is an annual conference based in Brighton in the UK. Lots of good people speaking and running workshops there. And I was like, oh, why don't I look at the talk descriptions or the workshop descriptions and just see what thoughts they spark and just
Hmm.
write a moment on the fly, set a little challenge, like do it within 20 minutes, just type it, tweak it a little bit, ship it, come up with some artwork. Um, I don't think I've quite hit 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes for each one. But it was a really fun exercise. It's like when you read someone else's description of a talk or workshop, it sparks lots of thoughts. And
Mhm.
it's like, okay, well, what thoughts does it spark? Just put it on paper or put it on
Mhm.
digital paper and get it out there. So the first one, I've only done 3 so far, but I'll share the first one, which was with the wonderful Claire Norman, based on
Mhm.
Claire Norman's
Yes.
talk. She's doing Make It Joyful, How to Build Products That Make People Smile, which is going to be an epic talk. Like,
Mhm.
no,
Mhm.
it's going to be a great one. Um, but yeah, just sort of sharing thoughts about what that means when we're building the Motiverse, like when we're changing the product, all of that stuff. But yeah, that concept of you take someone's writing, even a abstract for a talk or a workshop, and then do something with it. So
Mhm.
listeners, I really encourage them to give it a go. You can tag that person as well. So it's a nice way of sort of giving a nod and a hat tip to that person to say, look, we're paying attention. So in this case, it was good attention to Claire. Um, the other one I created the other day was around Eamon Droko and Lisa Crispin's workshop that they're going to run. And Lisa, I saw that she shared on LinkedIn, like, oh, it's interesting to get your take on it. So it's like, when you get that feedback back, it's like, oh, isn't that cool, right? Like,
Mhm.
the idea is to amplify someone else and they can share their interpretation of what you've interpreted. So it's like that kind of constant, constant thing. So I really hope others are up for it and giving it a try. You could start it Thoughts Before Moticon,
Mm.
whatever. And then the idea is after Moticon, I'll share my thoughts for the same thing and
Nice.
see how they're different. Of course they're going to be different, right? But who knows what, right? So if I can catch the talks and some of the workshops in person, which would be quite hard to do because I'll be in uh, conference mode. If not, I'll catch the talks on the recording. Once I
Mm.
watch them, I can then kind of write the version after the event,
Mhm.
if that makes sense, and
Mhm.
maybe do a comparison,
Yeah.
see what pops out.
Question, will the
Mm,
recordings be available to pro
yes,
members? Okay, excellent. I
exactly.
get
So
to I get to watch
yeah,
them this
you
year.
get it because I know, Julia, it's like the challenges of international folks getting to the UK are really fully aware that that's can be challenging, right? Um, so yeah, all talks will be recorded. Workshops we can't record. It's a bit
Sure.
tricky to capture a workshop situation with all different cameras and microphones and people walking around and stuff. So we don't record workshops, but we do record the talks. So yeah, we've got a professional crew that um, they've got all sorts of cameras at different angles and all properly mic'd up and stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, the talks are worth checking out. And Moticon last year, people can get that available now. It's if people head to go to ministrytesting.com, scroll down to the bottom in the learn column, there's a button called or link called sessions. Sessions is essentially anything recorded. So it
Okay.
could be this episode will be a session once it's produced and published. Any other talks, any stuff like that gets wrapped into sessions. So all the previous Moticon and Test Bash talks are available in sessions for those who are interested. It's worth going back. Again, those are other good tools for reflecting on your learning. You know, if you want to create a moment or write on your blog, your own blog, if you have one, which I know you do, Judy. But for other listeners, uh, watching a talk and then writing your thoughts and reflections is again really powerful. Kind of respects the speakers, gives them a hat tip, and also, you know, extends the knowledge of that talk with someone else's interpretation. So yeah, big fan of that approach. So I do encourage our listeners today, create a moment, look at a talk abstract or a workshop abstract for this year and see what it sparks and just go for it.
Excellent.
Yeah. I wonder, shall we encourage some folks up onto stage? What do you reckon, Julie?
I
Shall
think
we?
so.
Let's do it. Cool.
I'm scrolling through the comments.
Yeah, we should read some stuff out. That's a good point.
Um, so going back to mistakes, people are asking who tests the testers. Um,
Oof, yes. Great question.
Richard Adams says the customers question mark, and then Alexander says reality. uh,
Yeah.
reality, yeah, reality is a good feedback provider. It's a good feedback loop. Um,
If I can just jump in, Judy, I have some
yeah,
thoughts on the reality thing because
yeah.
I find that concept very interesting because I think we all have different realities that we
Mhm,
can create based on our experiences and everything about ourselves. So I think when, as quality professionals, when we talk about risk, we're
mhm,
like, this might happen, but we don't know if it will happen. But let's find out what happens if it will happen.
mhm,
So it's still not reality, right? So I always find that connection with risk and reality interesting. Like we don't know for sure yet. We can mitigate it for it if it does happen.
mhm,
Um, but reminding ourselves that it's not a reality unless it actually happens.
mm.
That I find kind of interesting. I'll probably not explain myself well, but I always
No, you're doing great.
get caught up on the risk and reality, the connection between the two. Um,
Yeah. Well, it has to, like you said, it has to exist. Like it has to be, I mean, going back to log writing, just because like that's the thing that comes to mind for me. It was like one of the things that prevented me most was, am I professional enough to write about this topic? Or if I code, which I'm like so nervous about putting code out there, but it's like if I write something about a problem I solved with um a particular automation issue, like is someone going to be like, well, that's rubbish,
right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and yeah, and but it finally it was like, well, I won't know. I won't know until it's out there. And yeah, I think we have to make we have to test our assumptions, and the only way to test them is to actually put them out there
Mm.
and see how people respond. Um, and and it's and I think too it depends on the person receiving it. I'm sure someone, I'm thinking of anything that we test and release into production. There could be that customer that's very loud and will let you know immediately when things are wrong.
Yeah.
And that in itself, even though it may feel abrasive, it's still valuable, um, because you could have a really nice customer that is just like, well, yeah, this isn't right, but it's not a big deal.
Mm.
Um, and then you just don't know. And so, I mean, hopefully you have the kind and responsive
Yes.
clients and
Yeah.
customers. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're totally right. It has to exist in order to know what's what's real and what's true.
Mm. And that the point you're amplifying, it's just like multiple realities, you
Mhm.
know, like we, and I guess there's cohorts of those realities, or even, yeah, if we go super granular, individual feedback is individual feedback, and we should respect that. Um, it's interesting how certain feedback said in a certain way could also have different weight.
Mhm.
Um, or maybe as a team, we've been, maybe a bias comes in, and as individuals, we're like, oh, I really wish we could change that. Um, oh, we've got the feedback from the customer. So yeah, we must do that. Or like,
Mhm.
you kind of, we're naturally looking for that feedback so we can justify it internally to
Mhm.
sort of say, oh yeah, we got some feedback on that thing that I've been banging on about, so we must do it. That's just a bias, right? It might be that there's loads of other things to look at, or feedback coming in, multiple realities of a customer's experience that we're just ignoring because of that bias. That's,
Mhm.
that's quite a curious one. I know that I've done that multiple times throughout my career. Like, you kind of get into a thing where you're like, oh, if I could just get enough evidence to put a case forward for this thing I'm pushing for,
Mhm.
and we go and find it.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, understanding what is important because, some things I think I'm thinking, you know, there have been things that I've worked on and it's like, "Oh, this isn't fixed." It irks me. But no, like, customers don't care, the sales seem to, and so
Mm,
it's like
mm,
you have to kinda let that go at times where
yeah,
it's like, it's important to you, but with everyone else, it's not a big deal. And it's, no one's no one's waking up and thinking, you know, "Wow, that thing is still broken and that bothers me."
yeah.
So being able I know for myself, being able to separate trying to think of the a good way to phrase it, like, to not let everything bother me
Mm,
and let the
yeah.
things that really impact yeah, what is important, what is impact, what can I let go of, really?
Mm,
Where it's like,
yeah.
okay, it bothers me, but it's not it we're not we're not talking about toxic culture or anything. It's
Mm.
just, you know, I don't like I remember I worked at one place and I didn't like the font choice.
Brilliant. I love that. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Like this
What is
W
this font?
bothers me.
Sans
You know,
serif? What the heck?
what are we thinking? Oh, Louise is right there with us. She says, "Death to fonts." Um, but yeah, it's just some things don't matter in the end, and so
Mm,
having that, like putting your ego on the shelf a little bit, like it's fine. It's just not a big deal.
yeah. It is amazing. And it's like, even say, time can be very powerful in those situations, like where, I think of some examples working on the new profile pages where I've been like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, well, I think we really need to address that. Come back to a week later and I'm like, what? No big deal. It's like
Yeah.
literally no big deal. And you just get absolute fresh perspective because we're so like in the zone in the particular thing. It's like, oh wow, I really can let that go,
Mhm.
But at the moment you're like, you just focus mode. So yeah, the power of stepping back and trying to get some fresh perspective. And I guess, yeah, working with your colleagues to get their take on things, time, literally a
Mhm.
week or day of sleep on it, test kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, all of that stuff I think helps.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for myself, especially in the new position, um, because it's been a ride. I got a job super fast in this market, which feels insane. Um, and there have been times where I'm like the other day, uh, I'm thinking back to Rosie's comment of like this week in therapy. This is my therapy moment, so I'll just go for it.
You
But
go for it. We're all here.
but but yeah, I woke up and I was just like, I don't think anyone likes me. I mean, it's just, all the new feelings and am I fitting in and uh, am I learning fast enough? Am I doing this?
Mm.
I mean, all the insecurities and imposter syndrome. It's like all the demons gathered for breakfast. And they're like,
Right.
okay, yeah,
They're ready
yeah,
with their knife and fork. Let's go.
exactly. Ready to have me for breakfast.
Yeah.
And
Oh, wow.
so it's thankfully I'm in a mindset where it's like, okay, one, what is the most important thing? The most important thing is that I'm bringing value. I can do that. I know how to do that. I have
Mm.
resources, experience, people I can ask questions from, and um and so it's like, while I have all these other feelings of um this is the most important thing that I'm liked, and I'm like, well, not actually, and I know that, but also a great way to be liked in your company is to bring value. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and so then just like really just approaching whatever fears I had head on. Even yesterday, it was, you know, uh, going back to the culture piece. Um, I just asked, like, how do we handle PRs? If, how long should I wait for someone to respond
Mm.
uh, to a PR request? How do people like being tagged? Do I tag them in GitHub? Do I message them personally? Um, and I put that in the developer discussion so that
Mm.
everyone could weigh in. Um, yeah, so really just bringing those conversations to the surface and actually addressing them and seeing seeing what happens, seeing what people say, because that's how you learn.
I love that approach. And the reason I like that is the power of asking questions, right? And particularly if a new person comes into an organization and they have the confidence to do that, because everyone's then going to reflect on like, oh, well, what is our process for this? Like, oh, here's what I think it is, and then someone goes, oh, it's this, and then someone goes, oh, it's this, and there
Yeah.
might be subtle differences, and that exposes some differences. Like, and let's have a discussion about those differences. They may be totally fine. It's all good. They
Mhm.
may cause a bit of friction or healthy friction or whatever, right? Whatever the outcome, it's helping people articulate the way things are, the systems that exist that produce outcomes. It's like they are as they are because they are. Like there's no, they've got to where they are because they just that's it. So I think
Mhm.
when someone new comes in, particularly someone like yourself, Judy, who is great at asking questions, and is like really curious about stuff. That is instant value add for a company
Mhm.
because people are going to like hold the mirror up and go, "Oh yeah, okay, it's this," or like, "Oh, I hadn't thought of it like that." And other people reading it will also get value who aren't part of the conversation as well. I'm sure they get. And we see this in the community, like the multiverse, when someone asks a question, lots of people may be reading the replies, not jumping in, but reading and reflecting themselves. So
Mhm.
there's real power in that. Um, but yeah, sorry you've been having the imposter syndrome.
Oh my gosh.
Pesky, pesky imposter syndrome. Ah,
Yeah.
shake my fist at that thing. Yeah, it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
I actually, when you say that, I read something recently. I circled back to one of my favorite books of all time. It's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
right.
And he there's a tiny chapter. It's literally like a paragraph, like this big. And he touched on imposter syndrome and nervousness and those insecurities and those feelings that come up. And
Ah,
he said, you have those feelings because you care and because you are a writer. And he said, oh, I'll find the quote. I actually took a picture of it recently, but it was basically like those that don't struggle with it aren't really writers
Oh, brilliant. Yes.
because it's just they're just not. He said it so much better. I will make a moment about that today because
Wonderful.
it just clarified it for me where it was like, okay, yes, I'm feeling this and it feels awful, and um that's actually that feeling is a validation that I'm on the right track. Um,
Yes, it really is. I love
yeah,
that framing. I've managed to grab the book and I've added it as an observatory link,
excellent.
crediting yourself, Judy. So that is publishing now. But I will also copy that link into the chat now so people can follow up on that.
Yeah. Also,
But
we have. Oh, go ahead.
no, 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 go for it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Jump.
I was gonna say there's a lot of chatter.
Let's
There's
go through it.
people are talking.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So Sean says when it comes to joining teams with existing quality processes, my tip is to listen. Really take the time to listen to the team. Every team will have a different path to quality and different approaches will resonate with them. Work with the team to co-own quality.
Nice.
I love that. And Sean, if you want to join us, I'd love to see you again. Like,
Let's have Sean join. Absolutely.
yes.
That'd be very cool. I think yeah, the co-ownership of quality. I, I don't want to keep talking about moments that I've written, but a moment I wrote yesterday was about
Yeah.
co-ownership of quality because it was inspired by looking at Suzanne Abdurrahman's talk description for Moticon. So
Mhm.
she's closing out Moticon with the question: can we actually co-own quality? So I share some thoughts about that. It reminded me of a conversation with Ash Winter about us really getting clear on our high value activities that we can bring as quality professionals, and then what do we then train others in, maybe not as high value but still part of the quality narrative. I came up with a concept called the Quality Institute. Don't know if it lands, but so there you go. I'll stick it in the chat for those following along live to
Excellent.
catch up on a little bit later. But yeah, share, comment on that and see what you think. But the co-ownership of quality. I love Sean's advice there. Very cool.
Mhm. Yeah. And Sean, it's a really good point because I do try to kind of like spend some time with the different teams, and the team that I'm on now, it's small, which is great. I think the total company is like 30 people. Like this is we're a tiny group.
Mm.
Um, but I went to the on-site. Like my first day was going to Minneapolis and meeting everybody.
Oh
That was
wow,
that was
cool.
that was my first day of work.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what.
so
Sorry to interrupt you. If I've got my geography right, it's like a 3 hour flight or a bit longer.
it
Or
was actually it was I'd say like an hour and a half. Like
oh,
it
okay,
wasn't very
right. It's
long.
not.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Still like a proper mission to get there, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, took my first Uber. I'd never I'd never, uh, done Uber before, which that
Brilliant.
app is amazing. I w
Brilliant.
I
That's
won't
cool.
go on, yeah, but I was, like, so excited. Um, and yeah, so I got to meet everybody, and so coming home, I kind of felt like, well, I've met everyone. Like, I don't need to, introduce myself because 'cause we've met in person, but at the
Mm.
same time, I think I there's still people that I wanna revisit and spend time with and say, "What have your pain points been?" Because, yeah, people really do, I'm reading your Sean or question or your wow, I'm reading your comment again, Sean. Yeah, every team will have a different path to quality and different approaches will resonate with them. And yeah, it's people experience the application differently as well. Like customer support will experience it differently and product will experience it differently. And so it's you can get like a more whole picture when you talk to the different departments. And Sean is here. Yeah, Sean is. backstage.
All
So
right.
let's do it.
Hello, this week in
Sean.
pulp people.
Hey.
Good
Oh, I'm
to
sorry.
hear
We
you,
have
Sean.
we have video now. Can you see me?
We
Uh,
Yeah.
we see you now.
yay.
Whoop, whoop.
Yay!
All right.
You got me. You got me up on stage. Congratulations.
This is a result, Sean. It's good
Yeah.
to see you. It's good to hear from you. Yeah, jump on in. Feel free to dive straight in.
Yeah, I guess I'll pick up where we were just talking. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for me because I also joined a new company earlier this year, and we have sort of a pod structure where each team has like different functional areas that they work in. And QA is sort of its separate org, but we're loaned out. Each team has an individual QA that works in each pod and has a specialty area. Um, so the main pod that I work on has a very specific functional area. They work in like a very hard like Scrum Agile methodology, going through the tickets, doing grooming, sprint planning, retros, that sort of thing. And I've been working with them for a little bit, but uh, I recently got to pair up with another team in a different functional area. We're kind of doing this thing where we're trying to get some pair programming going with the QAs, gets a little bit of cross functionality within the QA realm. And so I started going on to this other pod, and they work just completely differently than the first team I was working with, right? Just total different atmosphere, completely different team, completely different way of working. They're in a Kanban model. Um, and how they're doing tickets and how they do their sprints are totally different. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna watch their process, especially in that area because I'm the secondary QA, right? We have a primary QA who's been doing it for a while, and I'm just there to listen, right? I'm just there to learn how they're doing it. And we have a very aggressive shift left mandate going on across the company right now. You know, the first team I'm on is doing fairly well in that one. This one is also doing well, but in different areas. It's almost like you have like different like aspects of shift left, and each team is at different levels of each aspect, right? So it's kind of like listening to this one and being like, okay, your path to get to where we want to be as an organization is very different than the path of the other team that I'm on. And I need to work with you at your level on your terms, right? And a lot of shift left is about co owning quality, right? So I have to fundamentally work with them and figure out what does that look like to you? What does that feel like to you? Where are you currently at, right? It's not about being like, oh, this is what shift left means. You're doing this now. Bye. Like, you can't do that. You can't just come in with a mandate.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, Sean. Oh, sorry, Judy, go for it.
I was just gonna say it's not prescriptive. Like there's not like a shift left pill that you take and this is what shifting left looks like, and this will solve XYZ. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially depending on the environment. If the environment is like I've worked with teams where the environment is very chaotic before, right? And it's like, okay, like we have to quell the chaos before we do any sort of like co-ownership of quality. Because if you're in a chaotic state, you're already stressed. There's already a lot of anxiety, and trying to shift process in the middle of that is just going to add fuel to that fire, right? Where it's like, okay, I need to be a little more hands-on. I need to do a little more work. I need to help calm things before we can talk about shifting processes, or else it's just going to make everything so much worse. And then at the end of the day, what I've seen happen is they actually end up blaming the new process, right? You try to inject a process into a chaotic process, and then that adds more chaos, and they blame the new process, even if the new process was actually helping them.
Well, that's a really interesting observation. Yeah. I like, Sean, the way you called out, um, well, creating a sense of calm. And also, you mentioned about, or you inferred that, like, respecting the existing system, like how the existing system processes people, things that perhaps aren't written down, all of that stuff that is the current set of outcomes of whatever's happening. Again, I think I talk about this book, maybe once every month on TWIQ, is Esther Darby's 7 Rules for Positive Productive Change. Part of those 7 rules is about respecting now, like how things are because they are, and then, yeah, building experiments off the back of that. But yeah, as you say, Sean, not coming in and saying, "Hey, everybody, we're doing shift left. See you later."
Yeah,
or as you say, Judy, just everyone take this shift left pill and we're all good.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. What's the phrase? It's you meet people where they are, not where you want them to be.
yeah, yeah, nice. That's a great way of framing it. Yeah.
I've always had this idea for a while now that like because you read books like I have the Scrum Agile book, I have a Kanban book, I have a waterfall book because those existed. I have all these things. I've read about extreme programming, all of that, and I've never worked for a team or a company that did pure X. No one's ever doing pure Scrum, right? It's always some sort of hybrid thing, something that works for them, and that's the key. Is it works for them. All these different models work. Most people are using some sort of hybrid. So I've had this idea of like treating, because I'm a baker, I'm a home chef, of treating these different methodologies like recipes and sort of coming up with like, if you're working in this environment with this kind of product and team with this set of skills, adopt this hybrid methodology of these different approaches, right? Like, a pinch of agile, a bit of waterfall, 2 tablespoons of scrum.
That's very cool, Sean. It makes me think that there is a moment by Debbie Van Malcott about comparing the world of baking to the world of quality. And there's a couple of moments on that which are very interesting reads. So worth checking out if that goes to all of our listeners today.
I think Helene has some thoughts as well, so maybe we could bring her up on stage to join the conversation.
Hello, can you hear me over there?
Yes. Hello.
Perfect. Hi. Yeah, it's just been a conversation that really spoke to me, especially the whole topic of imposter syndrome. And I was thinking about this and remembering in my very first job when I was 24 or something, one of my first performance reviews I got was that I asked too many questions. And I can tell you that scarred me for the next decade. So now moving into this kind of quality role where our entire job is to ask questions, sometimes it's still very difficult for me to, ask those questions instead of thinking like, I can figure this out. I'll find the documentation somewhere. It's got to be somewhere here in Confluence or in the tickets. So that really does keep being a struggle. But as quality people, we also have the responsibility and the privilege to have that as a part of our role. It's our entire role to ask questions. So that kind of helped. Like it's what people expect from me, and I'm lucky to have a good team that allows those questions. But learning that was kind of like a relief and kind of a way to let things go. Like, okay, I can ask questions. It's my entire job to ask questions. That's what people expect from me. And kind of being that voice of dissent sometimes. I think the imposter syndrome is still there, but it's lessened because of that. Because I'm like, it's my role to doubt things. So I can have doubts. I'm supposed to have doubts.
It's very poignant, Helene. Power of asking questions and just that is the core of our role, right? As quality professionals. It's wonderful. And it's so cool that you're able to find a role. So I know we talked about this on a brilliant call for insights that we had together about how finding a role that suits your capabilities and approach to things makes all the difference. And it's so cool that the world of quality has you in it, Helene, because you're great at asking questions. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, and I think it's great that that kind of came out of community or the community here at Ministry of Testing and elsewhere, where I've said this before about software testing live, joining those sessions and watching people go through and test a system and being like, oh, like I am doing this right. Like I am doing my job correctly. Thank you for reassuring me. So you get that feedback from the community of other professionals being like, yes, questions, it is part of your job. It is what you do. Like, you shouldn't have been chastised for that, right? Like,
Yeah, and what I found, I recently noticed this. I've been in my role for a little more than over 2 years now. The way the questions evolved, like the questions I was asking when I just started out, were also good questions, but were maybe a little more basic, a little more like not quite understanding what is going on yet. And this week I caught myself like I was testing something, and I'm a manual tester, but I was looking through the code and it was going like, okay, they did something wrong. I'm going to figure out what they did wrong, and I'm going to just try to tell the developer that right away instead of just saying, hey, something here doesn't work. It's like, okay, it doesn't work, and I think it's this, and I think you did this wrong, and I think you need to look at that. So that helps noticing across those years how things evolved, how the questions I've been asking have started to become different.
And I want to circle back to like the uh just the terrible thing that was done to you, which is like you asked too many questions. Okay, when is too many? Like when is enough? When is not enough? Like recently I got feedback. Well, right, I'm going to try to make this as general as possible. Um yeah, I received feedback that I didn't find an issue soon enough. And it's like, well, when is it, but it didn't make it to production. So it's like when is soon enough? Cuz like I found it, and but you're not happy because it wasn't soon enough, but the clients will never see it. And yeah, so like the I don't know, it's a reminder to me even of like when I'm communicating to people of like um, uh it just bugs me that you were told you asked too many questions because I it's that's so vague and so not helpful. And maybe they could have said when you ask questions, because I've received this where it's like, okay, like I would get an error and I'd say, I don't know what this error means. And the developer would say, well, what have you done so far to figure it out? And then he kind of guided me on how to troubleshoot an error and then recognizing when I've come to a point where I need to bring someone in. Like, that was helpful, and he was like, "And when you come to me, just say, 'Hey, I've Googled this, and I've searched this, and I've tried these things, and it's not working. So now I know how to help you.'" And so feedback like that is, like, super helpful because it gives you a guide, but yeah, you don't ask too many questions.
It's with the benefit of hindsight, I've come to understand what a terrible advice that was. But
Yeah.
it took me years and years, and I absolutely shut down on that job for quite a while. I don't think I lasted very long in it. And then, yeah, afterwards, it's where then was getting like the feedback that like you don't ask enough questions, and you need to check in more. And it's like my ADHD brain at that point was like, what do you want from me?
Who do you want me to be?
Yeah, exactly. So having this role where it's part of my job description to ask questions was so liberating. Like, yeah, I can do this
Yeah,
now.
yeah, you can be yourself.
If
Yeah.
I can make light of things, Helene, if that's okay, a T-shirt with "What do you want from me?" would be quite powerful.
Yes.
No, that's perfect. Yeah.
So, well, shall we have a little look in the chat to see what else has been happening? Some ideas sparked by what's being shared. So Demi Van Malcott, uh, at Sean, that's exactly my feeling each time I came to the MOT website and saw a sessional article giving a name to a thing I do. Oh, this is an actual thing. I'm not making up weird things. Brilliant. I love that. That's a good one. And AD Stokes, how do you boundary test? Too many or too few? Oh, love that. Rich Adams, this is why we have layers and layers of testing to catch things at different stages. AD says, I said precursor to ISTQB. I said qualified here, so I know what you mean there, AD. Sec is better. Yep, sure. Taught me what the name BVA was and equivalence partitioning. But I was already doing them. Yeah, that feels familiar, AD. I remember when I took the ISEB, it was like, this is it. Okay, it's got a name. Right. Okay. It's nice when that happens. And I think there's stuff on the glossary, the Multiverse glossary. I don't know what number we're at now, but there's so much stuff on that glossary. It's worth just, even if you get a spare 5 minutes. And actually, I shared an idea internally with the team. We haven't implemented it yet because we've got other priorities. And this is one, again, Judy, coming back to our early conversation, I had to let go. But I was like, we should introduce like an I'm feeling lucky button on the glossary. Just press it, gives you a random glossary item. Thank you, AD. Yes, that's right. 725 terms. That's pretty wild. But I can't remember. I think I came up with, I'm feeling exploratory. That was what I came up with, the name for the button. So a bit of a play on the I'm feeling lucky, but we can't use that because that's Google's and we get in trouble. So we have to come up with our own. But the glossary is great for that, right? So like, this is the thing. This is what I've been doing. And also, I haven't heard something like that before. I haven't heard it called that before. And then professional members can then add their own, definition. You know, they don't have to agree with everything that's written on that page. Share your own definition, right? This is the beauty of how we built the glossary, that people can share their own take, their own experiences, their own thoughts and ideas on a particular thing.
I will say that I love terminology. Like, I love learning new words. And I think words are really powerful because they help give ideas shape and context, right? You're not describing this vague idea. You're like, no, it's called functional testing, right? Let me give you the definition. Let me show you how to do it, right? And I think, like, when I was younger, I used to use that more of like a stick to beat people with, of like, oh, you're not doing this to the definition. It's wrong. But now I actually use terminology as a tool to broaden people's mindsets. Like, a lot of people, I've been meaning to write a moment on this about the test pyramid, and how people get stuck in, like, the unit integration and end-to-end testing, and they treat that like some definition. And more recently, it's like, no, let's not talk about end-to-end testing. Let's talk about functional testing. Let's talk about exploratory testing instead of manual testing. Let's talk about flow testing and user testing. And, is that end to end? Can it be unit? Maybe. Who cares? Let's not worry about it. Let's define it differently, right? And break out of some of these boxes that we have put quality in over time.
There's definitely a moment in that, Sean. I love it.
I'm very much reminded of prescriptive versus descriptive language, the whole discussion there. I like the thing we did recently within our company, also a tester community, where we had a session on regression testing and started out with defining what regression testing meant for us, like outside of all the established definitions. Like, okay, for us as a group, what do we understand under regression testing? And like, here are a couple of different scenarios. Is that regression testing for you? Yes or no? So that's fun. Like, you even like ignoring all the outside context, just coming up with the definition that works for you as a group.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to round it back to what we were talking about earlier, which is you have to meet the team where they are, right? You're telling me this is a unit test. Okay, define a unit test for me, right? Define what this covers. What quality is this giving you? Rather than pushing back on like the textbook definition of a unit test or whatever.
Judy, I know you unmuted and wanted to jump in. Before this disappears from my mind, meet the terms where they are. Maybe that's it. There you go. I'm sure I'll try and do something with that at some point. But Judy, please jump on it.
Oh, I just want to say, like, that. I mean, one thought is just like, we've got a lot of moments to write after this episode. Like, everyone write your moments. But yeah, even like the company where I am now, they already have terms that mean things to them. And so asking like where their definitions are. Do we have a definition for that? Can I go reference it somewhere? Because yeah, teams teams and cultures that they just create their own languages, and so hopefully it's provided somewhere. If it's not, ask, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean when you say, well, Sean, like, I have no idea what flow testing is. So yeah, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to find out what that is after this call. So
And I'm quickly scrambling to see if we have a glossary term for it. If not, you know what to do, Sean. You got a busy rest of the day. Creating all these moments, adding all these glossary definitions. This is wonderful.
That's what I'm doing for the next 4 weeks while this week on quality is on hiatus.
Yeah, that's it. This is a challenge, folks, and that's a good reminder, Sean. Thank you for reminding us to share that we are taking a short break for 4 weeks. So please do use that 4 weeks to perhaps go back to previous episodes of This Week in Quality. Even look at the transcript. Get your AI bot to help you pull stuff out of that transcript to see what it sparks. It might spark a moment. It might spark a glossary definition. It might spark your own blog post. It might spark you finding links to stuff that you can add to the observatory. They're all there, right? Those transcripts are there ready to go back to. And also, if you can put the time in for an hour listening to previous episodes, go ahead and do that. So thank you, Sean, for that little segue reminder. Much appreciated. So I can confirm live through the chat, Rosie Sherry says that flow testing is not there on the glossary. So there we go, folks. By the time of this publishing, maybe it is there. Who knows? Things move fast. Okay, folks. Judy, any final thoughts, perhaps, before we wrap up today's episode of This Week in Quality?
I just appreciate seeing Sean and Helene on stage. It was good to see you. Good to see you and talk to you and catch up with you a little bit.
Yeah, likewise. I think for folks that, joining us in the chat are wonderful and sharing your thoughts and ideas. And do make sure if you haven't said something in the chat, just put whatever, because I use the chat to check people in. And if you get checked in, you get another star. So one for registering and one for showing up. So please do remember to post something in the chat before we wrap things up. So I'll go back and dish out those stars, which is always a nice feeling. Thank you, Sean. That's brilliant. Well, you folks get extra stars for participating on the stage. There's the extra ones there, and Judy gets one for co-hosting. So those are like the special reserve stars for being doubly awesome. Chris Pratt, did someone say stars? You betcha. Okay, folks. Well, I think now's a good time to wrap things up. So yeah, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back in September. Keep your eyes peeled to the events page. You can register for some of those future This Week in Qualities. I've set up a couple there in the future for September, so you can go register now and you'll get the usual reminders. But in the meantime, the Motiverse continues 24/7, 365, right? Whenever you need it, it's always here. So please do think about creating moments, sharing things on the observatory, sparking conversations in the Slack, adding items to the glossary. There's loads of ways to contribute. As a reminder, if you go to ministryoftesting.com/contribute, there's a whole list of things that you can do, that you can put yourself forward, stuff that you can just go for it right now. Particularly as professional members, you get to do loads of awesome things. And we're very, very grateful for folks that continue to show up. In the meantime, we wish you all very well, and we'll see you in the Motiverse very soon. Bye for now.
Bye.